All right. And then as we discussed last week, okay, your final project, okay, or this month, we're gonna ask you to work on another project, and then this should be a kind of AI agent. And so you probably heard about this term a lot. It's not a very complicated thing. Now, if you think about the current state of AI, okay, we also give you some kind of basic introduction. The most important part of the technology is the large language model. Okay, so basically giving you the input text and predict the next sequence of the words and give you all these good responses. Okay, so basically, every time we're interacting with the AI models, we're sending a text as an input, and then they do all this hard work, complicated process, and then give us the output. But in this case, output is also a text. Okay, whether you use Gemini, ChatGPT, or most other tools. Okay, so the the way to interact with the model is mostly text-based. All right. Well, text is really, really useful because it's something that we can all understand, we can all communicate, and honest, just with text, it can already do a lot of things. And the good thing is that the code is also kind of a text, right? So we can already benefit a lot from it. But obviously, we are a lot more ambitious. We're trying to think, okay, we need AI to do more. While text is useful, it give us knowledge, it give us, command, it give us suggestions. But we are thinking, can we actually go a little bit further and to really have the AI to do the actual things? Okay, so we talk about the construction. So can AI actually build a house? Okay, we talk about, all this manufacturers. Can AI actually help with the assembly lines, right? We talk about agriculture, can AI to do other related things. And we talk about tutoring, in education, e-commerce, analysis, setting up the platform. So we want AI to do more instead of just giving us the text. Okay, so that's basically the motivation for AI agent. That's why since last year and primarily this year, people have been talking about AI agent a lot. Because part of the reason is that we kind of see right now the large language model, whether it's GPT-5 or other model, it's really good. But you also don't really see some other dramatic or significant improvement, especially compared with GPT 3.5, with GPT-4, 4.5. That kind of a jump was very significant. But now from GPT 4.5 to GPT-5 we're using right now, you really don't see a big difference. So that's why people also think about how do we expand the impact of AI to do other things. And the larger model is already pretty good. So how can we, expand it, right? So that's why people start to focus more on the AI agent. Okay, so to summarize, okay, what we're trying to do with AI agent is that we still going to use the larger model because that's basically the brain. That's where the AI comes from. Okay, but we want to solve the problem of the output part because right now the output is always just a text. Now we need AI to do more things. All right, and so if you think about the process, what we should do is that once we got some of the output from the large language model, which is still going to be text, how can we convert those texts into something that can do some other stuff? Right? So that would require us to build some kind of actor, or you call it agent, you call it programs, something that can do some other things. And then this actor could be a robot, right? That's why robotics this year is also very popular because at the end, a robot could be the actual actor that taking care of a lot of the tasks we just mentioned. Okay, so that's why robot is a very big, very trending right now, because at the end, a lot of things will be dedicated to robots to do. Uh, but without AI, the robot being there for a long time, it wasn't too exciting. Was the user very limited? But now with AI, I think now robot can do a lot more things. Okay, so when we talk about AI agent, in the last series of course. Okay, so we want you to build something more that can use a large language model, but also create something dedicated or more specific kind of actor that can convert all this AI output into something more concrete, into some more specific actions. So that's kind of the flow and the background about it. So from now on, you guys need to start to think about what kind of agent we can do to build. The project you did last week is also a kind of agent. For example, you build a dedicated software that helps you to make some kind of fitness plan, and then you have UI, you narrow down the inputs and the outputs. Some of the outputs are very fancy. You got a dashboard, you got a nice view, everything. I'll show you calendar stuff, which is kind of the agent. Okay, it's already a kind of agent. So in that case, that actor basically does something that convert or parse the output and render that as a kind of a nice kind of web page for you to see. But I would say that's a very basic level of agent. And we want you this time is to actually do more things. Okay, instead of just rendering the results in a nice way. Okay, so that's the motivation for the AI agent. Okay, so I want to today focus on one example. Okay, this example, I ran a little bit test before the class. I have not fully built it yet, but I feel this should be very doable and we can work on it together. So if it went really well, I think we can finish that very quickly and obviously with the help of all the AI coding tools. Okay. So the example I was thinking is some kind of file organizer. Okay, so the problem we're trying to solve here is that if you think about your download folder, for example, you must have a probably everyone has a like a giant folder that has everything you downloaded from the browsers. I don't know how many of you are very organized, always cleaning it up, to delete the files, to save some space, or I don't even know how many of you will actually go there to organize it a little bit, put it into different folders based on the type and everything. Okay, at least for me, I never got the time to do it, and until I saw I'm running out of disk space, right? So I have to go to my download folder, and that just has a lot of files. Okay, so obviously coming from the internet. Okay, I sometimes try to clean it up a little bit, but yeah, not very often. Okay, so can we build an AI agent that read the files and automatically figure out the types of files and try to move around and put into different folder? That's what we're trying to do here. Okay. Now, obviously, you can ask ChatGPT about, okay, I have this many files. Tell me how should I organize it? Well, they can obviously give you a very good answer, but you will be the one that who will taking care of, to move around the files, change the name, create a folder, all this stuff, right? So the ChatGPT cannot do that because they don't have access to your computer and they don't know how to actually handle those. So in order to do that, we will need to write or build a kind of actor. This actor is basically like a file manager that can handle different things. Okay, so that's what we're going to build. If we can have that one, when you think about how can we use large language model to guide the file manager to run something. Okay, so let's actually work on this example. And hopefully you can get some inspiration from it. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna do this one totally live. I haven't really run this one. I ran a couple of tests before the class. I think it's fairly doable. Okay, so let's start from the first step. Okay, I'm gonna write down the steps here. Okay, so we should start with the local file manager. Okay. When we are doing the file manager, okay, some of the function I think is that, eventually when you're trying to organize your files, okay, so you probably need to know some of the things, okay, you want to be able to list all the files in the folder, right? And then you need to get the file information about such as, name, size, probably type will part of the name, okay? Or I'll be more specific. This one just to get a name. And then we need something to get the size. We need to be able to rename a file, rename a folder. We need to be able to move a file from one path to another path. All right, so as you start to organize it, and obviously we can just remove the file, but I'm gonna leave this one, there because this will have some kind of risks. Okay, so we'll do this one at the end. So even without removing it, you can always move around things, so that should work, right? So I'm gonna leave this one as a kind of a side function. Okay. So think about if you have this kind of manager that pretty much can handle most of the things that you want to do with the files. Okay. So what I suggest is that let's actually build this local file manager first, which is our actor. All right. Because once you have that one, and then we need to think about how can we connect things together. Okay. So let's do that. Okay, I'm gonna go back to cursor. All right. Does by the way, anyone have any questions so far on what we're trying to build here? All right, sounds good. Okay, so we're gonna start. So we're gonna do a Python code, okay, on this one. So I'm gonna write a prompt here to build a Python-based file manager that can handle the following tasks uh, about basic file management, folder management. I need um, a dedicated function for each task. I'll be more specific, a Python function with the necessary input and output parameters. Here are the list of tasks I need. List of I need from, yeah. All right, so going back here, I'm gonna get all of these ones here. I'm not gonna do the remove yet. Okay, list all the files, get all the information, get the name and size, rename file, very important, rename a folder, move a file. Oh, actually another one, we need to create a folder, right? So create a new folder. Create a folder so that you can move around, right? So that's the most important part. Okay, so let's do this. All right, so they're gonna create all these different functions. This part again, I'm not gonna write it. Just I think this one pretty easy for AI to handle. It's very basic, some file operations, not too difficult to write. But dealing with all these parameters, the paths, all the different characters, that probably takes some time. So yeah, I can definitely help a lot. All right, looks like it's done, and I'm gonna open it. So let's take a look at the file. All right. So it's yeah, they use the OS library and then some of the past library. So list all the files in a folder. So you gave a folder name and then they give you a list of the files. And this is a get file name, give you a string. This is a get file size. This is a renamed file and create a folder. And that one is renamed folder. Move file from the source path to the destination path. All right, well, as you can see, they actually give you some kind of example usage. All right, so list all the files in the folder. That's the test folder, everything, print all the files, get a file name, get file size, rename file, create a folder, rename folder, and all of this. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it, and I'm gonna do some tests. Okay, so I'll run the test. So a test folder one. All right, so I am gonna create put some test files here. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna randomly pick some files. There's a research paper. I'm gonna use this one, and that's the invoice. There is a rental agreement. This is a little image. I think I'm gonna use this one first, okay, because these are pretty standard. So I'm gonna move those into this file here. Okay, so I put some file here, and let me close my WeChat. Yeah. All right. So this one here, there are four files. Okay, we're gonna run this. So what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna run this one and see what happens. Okay, so but then for the folder, okay, for the test folder, this one is not gonna be a test folder. This one should be test folder dash one. Actually, since they name it this way, I'm gonna rename this one as a test folder. Okay, so all right. So I'm gonna run this code. All right, so let's see what happened here. So manager load successfully, all this available functions, and oh, this is an example. They're not like running it, right? So um okay, so I would say that create a separate test Python file to run some basic tests with a given test folder name. Well, this one they even use they probably more standard test. But I was thinking just to use some of the very basic like just like this, run this one to test it. But that's fine. That's probably even better. All right, so that's the manager test, and then they create different things and then run it. I don't need the unit test um, or formal test. Just call those functions so that I can check the results manually. Now, obviously, this is better, okay, but this is too much. I just want everyone to see how it works in action. All right. Yeah, it's just demonstrate how it works. I think that's all we need. All right, so this is the test, and just a main function. That's what we need. And you just start to do the test folder name. I think we need to provide the by default the test folder. That's good. And then create a test folder. That's a command. And create some test files. They actually create some files. They write down read some names. And yeah, so it looks good. So let's actually run this file. Okay, so looks like everything goes through. They run a lot of things, as you can see. So create a test folder, and under this one, they create another folder, and then they list all the files. That was the original files because they already create those files. And then getting the file name, getting the size, then rename a file, and then everything. Eventually, that's what the folder looks like. Okay, so it looks like it's working. All right, so we're not gonna verify too much, but this one shouldn't be a very difficult task to do. All right, so I'm gonna just delete this one. Oh wait, so they remove all our old files? Okay, all right, I didn't expect that one. And but let me actually bring those back. Okay, I'm gonna create another folder. Okay, test folder one. Okay, so yeah, looks like they actually remove our old files. That's not good. All right, so I'm gonna use this again. All right, anyway, so I'll be a little bit more careful. But anyway, this one here is try to verify our file manager that works. Okay, so this is all good. All right, now with this actor, okay, you know it can do things. Okay, um, but then the question now is that how can we let the large language model to run this? And obviously, you can't just simply say that, oh, I have this file, just give you a Python code that can run all this one to do certain things, right? Um, that's not very easy to manage. But then the best way to do this is that, can we have the larger model to give a very specific and clear command? It's almost the same as this type of things, so that it can guide us step by step what to do and how to do it. All right. And then in order to do that, we need to let the large model know what our actors can do. Okay, all the operations we can handle, right? So don't forget that the large model only handles the text. So we need to make sure everything is communicated through a text. Okay, not in other things. All right, so if a large model can generate some kind of a text format that can guide how do we call these functions, I think that would be the best way, right? So in other words, we should try to create some kind of a list of commands that we can just send it to here and it will just execute, right? So here I want to introduce another concept called a domain-specific language. All right, so I'm going to write down here, or maybe I'll go from here. A lot of the time, this is not a new thing. So if you ever learn programming language, we most of the time dealing with the large kind of a general purpose language like Python, Java, C++, right? But there are a lot of smaller languages. They're not going to handle every single thing, but they can do certain specific stuff. A good example would be if you ever use Excel sheet or Google Sheets, right? You can write some of these functions in the cell to do the sum, all of those, right? So those are little like a language. You can think about like languages. Or I don't know how many of you have used some of the Google search, right? So you want to say that I'm going to search computer science. Okay. I want to go only site on cpp.edu. All right. So you give this little specification, I think it will only show you the things from Cowboy Pomona, from this domain name. Okay. So this little kind of language here is also kind of domain specific language. So we could specify our own domain specific language that we can define the syntax, the grammar, and then what kind of command we can use. All right. So that way, if we want to run this, we don't have to call the Python directly. We can just use the language as a way to communicate. All right. If this one exists, and then we can ask large language model to generate the list of command in that specific language. So let me give you an example. All right. So here. So now this file manager works. I need to build a domain specific language that can run the different functions in provided by file manager. The language should be very simple and concise. It should contain list of lines. Each line has only one command that corresponded to one of the functions from file manager. Please design this language very well based on the functions available from file manager. Please also build a language executor that can read the code in this language and execute it. All right, so let's try this. This whole task, okay, isn't easy, okay, but with AI, building a simple parser, design a language is, getting really efficient. All right, so they're gonna do a design, domain specific language design, and create all this command for us. All right, let's see what they can do. All right, so they did something called a DSL executor, okay? And this executor has different command: list, name, size, rename, create, folder, rename, move, right? And then it's going to take care of all the different things. All right. And you can see they even create some demos for us. This demo is to create a main folder, create. This one is create a subfolder, create another subfolder. This one is to list all the files. And here they can do list folder stuff. And this is a more complete demo. Probably going to show you also the other command. Okay, yeah, they create a lot of different demos. Okay, let's see what those are. There's another example. All right. Okay, so even they even did some tests. All right. Here is the move command. That's the one I'm looking for. So move a file from source to another one. Okay, folder name, right? Yeah, so that's exactly what we need. So I'm going to keep all of them. Okay, so just a quick recap. So what we do right now, since we have all the Python functions, we're designing our own language, okay, in our own way, which has all the different commands. You see, there are also even comments, okay, and the command and it's all corresponding to the function we have. So this all in the format of a text. Now probably you can see that if we have this one, and all we need to do is just let large language model to generate the format in this way. But before we do that, let's actually do some testing. I think they already tested for us. See, they have this file. Let's keep all of them. The executor is going to take. Let's see, how do you run this one? When you run the main, yeah, you need to provide the executor and then the file you want to execute. All right, so let's just run this one. Okay, so I'm going to run Python command here. All right, so that they give you us command and examples. So next time if I do, they have some things for us. Okay, so the test, the example, right, this test folder. Let me see the demos. They can create a folder and demo folder here. So how do you specify the folder name? Okay. This is not very easy to see. Okay, let's please move all the DSL files into a folder. So it's easier to organize it. And the really good thing that they even generate the language specification in the Markdown file to explain how to use all the different things. All right, so it's really complete. All right, so now we move everything over there so it's not too annoying. All right, so I'm gonna I'll create a simple one. Okay, try to run it. All right, so yeah, that's the test I think they did. So they have, yeah, this is the test probably they run. Okay, so they create a folder called a complete demo folder, and then they create another subfolder. Okay, so if I'm gonna do another one, for example, I would do like a C as 4680. I create another folder, and yeah, I would just create two more folders. All right, and then I don't need this one here. Just run some kind of test, and then I did the folder. So if I run this one, let's try it. Okay, so I'm gonna run DSL files. This is called a complete demo. Yeah, I'm gonna run this command, and then you can see they execute it. They create a folder, another one, and then list all the results. There's no files. So now we have two folders, right? So if I'm putting some files there, I think they will be able to see it. Okay. Or I'll just say this, list test folder one. Okay, I'm gonna list this one and I don't need this anymore. Okay, it's just like editing another code. It's in your own language. Run this again. All right, as you can see this time, list this folder, result, found four files, and these are the four files. And then execution complete. All right, so that's how we can interact with our file manager right now. Okay, through a little language code you can write. And obviously, depending on the task you're trying to do, you can make this as complex as you want. All right. So this is already a very good step. Okay. Now, as you are seeing all the results, you probably can come up with some approach to interact with the large language model because you can see, first of all, we can use a command to give us all the results. Okay. And one thing you can even try is that, well, if I have this, um, I can ask ChatGPT to just organize it based on this one, right? So what I can do now is let's actually just copy this. Okay. And I'm gonna go here. I will say that here are some file information from a folder. Please suggest um, a file and folder structure to organize in a more clean way to put different types of files into different folders. Okay, so let me just give the file information like this. Okay, and then as you can see, they suggested that this one is the finance because the invoice, this is the rental, this is the research, and then that's the design. Yep. So they can already do this one. This is nothing surprising, right? So we know they can do it. But right now, if they just do this one and they don't do it, and then we will be the one who do it, right? So that's why we're trying to see if we can use the agent or the actor to handle this. Okay. Now I can actually give you the DSL, the language. So I'll say that I have already built a DSL to handle the file management tasks. Please use the following language specification to generate a code in this DSL to mm, to implement this file uh, optimization tasks. Here is the complete language spec. Remember, they generate the language document for us. So I'm going to try to use this one. This is a large specification, but it should be fun. Okay, so I'm going to copy it over and I will put it here. Okay, so that's the complete language specification. Okay, let's see what happens. All right. And yeah, looks like they need a longer time to see an answer, but I don't think it's that difficult. All right, as you can see, all shows up. So what they do here is that, okay, so you have the base folder and you want to list all the files. And what they will do now is that because they already analyze all the file types, so they want to create a finance folder, rental folder, research folder, and design folder. Okay, based on this. And then they want to move around. Okay, they want to move this invoice file from here to the finance folder. They want to move this rental agreement to the rental folder and all of this. All right. And finally, they verify just to list everything. Yeah, that's all we need, right? So why don't we just try this? I'm gonna copy this code. Okay. And I go back here. I'll create another one called task1.dsl. All right, I'm gonna just copy this one. Remember, these are generated by ChatGPT, right? So we didn't write it, but they follow our syntax. They know we have a command called create. They know we have a command called move. That's all they need. They don't need other things, right? So they're gonna take care of this folder here called a test folder one. And then now, if I'm trying to run this one, if it actually works correctly, it should actually do that for us. Let's see if that happens. Okay, so this time I'm going to run a script called a task1.dsl. Okay, now let's run this. All right, something's wrong. And let's see. Okay, so executing this one, and they found one file. That's the hidden file. It doesn't matter. Okay, but I think the issue here, let's see what happens. The folder already exists. Okay, so let's see what happens. Um, no, this one is not. Oh, I see. So the base folder here is wrong. So this one called a file AI test. That's the one I did a test earlier. Somehow they track that memory. Okay, so this is not good. But because I actually gave the folder here. Oh yeah, I didn't provide a base folder. That's why they didn't know the base folder, right? So I think this part we gotta improve that a little bit. All right, so because I was copying this information. Okay. So for list files in a folder command, please show the complete path to the base folder so that we know where the file is. All right, so we're gonna make a little change to our language. All right, because right now it doesn't show us all the base folder, so they don't know the base folder, right? So they change the executor. All right, so let's test it first of all, just to test the list folder thing. Okay, so I'm gonna go here, use this one, the demo one, to just to test this command. All right, I'm gonna run this. All right, this time this told us the folder, and there are 4 files. Okay, so we're gonna use this, or I can just do I'll just do this one here. Okay, and now send it to here. Please use the following file and folder information to generate the DSL code. Here, I'll redo it. Yep, this time they changed the folder name. Hopefully this one is gonna work. All right, I'm gonna copy this one, put it here. Yep, so this one should have all the correct name stuff. All right, and create folders, move files, and then verify the results. Okay, so let's run this again. All right, so this time I'm gonna do the test one. Again, we're working on this folder, see if they can, be optimized. Run it. All right, looks like it's all done. So now the test folder has a design folder, a finance folder, a rental folder, and a research folder. All right, so this time we are getting the file information. The large language model handle how to optimize it, and they actually not only tell you what to do for this structure like this, but they tell us the code that you can use to get things done. And we have built an executor that can take care of this code. And that is pretty much how the agent works. Okay. So now we just need to put everything together. Okay. Because right now I'm manually asking ChatGPT to do this. What we need to do is we probably have a prompt, right? So that prompt actually asks for a base folder. And then we use AI, OpenAI API. Sorry, we call to list all the files. And then we call the OpenAI API to generate the DSL, and then finally we run it. All right, that's all we need at the end. So I'm still gonna use AI to build it. So now I need a final, I'll call this one as like a user interface. Um, I need like a terminal based program that asks a user to provide base folder. Now this program will do the following. One, list the files in this folder using the file manager and generate a detailed summary of all the files and the folder information. Step two, call OpenAI API to send the information from step one and also the DSL specification so that the OpenAI will return the code in this DSL to organize the files into different folders based on the file type or content. Three, call the DSL executor to run the code generated from OpenAI API. All right, pretty much that's three steps. Okay, so let's see what AI can build for us, and then we can obviously write this one as well, but that's going to take a lot more time. Okay, all right, all right. So is everyone still following me? Everything makes sense so far? All right, so they do a file organizer. So I'm gonna try to look at the code very quick. Okay, so let's see the file organizer. We're gonna start from the main method. Okay, so the main method here is that they are gonna show you the file organizer, how to use this one, and input a base folder path. Okay, and we check the path is correct, and then we generate the folder summary. Okay, the folder path, and generate the folder summary. Format the summary text. We're gonna see what that looks like. Okay, and then we're gonna call the API, the OpenAI API. Okay, and then it includes the file summary. It also has the DSL specification, and also our folder path. Okay, and then after that, they will generate that code. Okay, once they generate the code, they're gonna execute it, but they will ask us to confirm to execute. So it's really well planned and a good code. Okay, so finally they will execute it. All right, and let's just test it because they have a very nice way for us to confirm it. All right, so I'm gonna create this one. Maybe I'll just move it back. You know what? I'll just do another folder. Okay, test folder 2. For the test folder 2, let me just try to bring more files. I'll do an image. I'll do some other like AI business, some kind of images, research paper, um, pattern. I'll do some other like random like images. Um, what else? Like pattern paper. I'll put more files. Okay, another paper, another paper. Okay, so I'll do other things like all right, let's see what else. Uh, some kind of agreement. All right, so I'll just try to do this and put another test folder. Okay, this time a lot more folder, not a lot more files. Okay, so I'm gonna run our code this time. Okay, so I'm gonna run this one. File organizer, and uh, no, this is file manager. Okay, we're running file organizer, running this one. Okay, so it's a prompt based. So enter the base folder path to organize. So the base folder should be this one. I'm gonna copy the path. All right, so that's a complete folder path under my username and then test folder 2. Okay, let's see what happens. If I do this, all right, so they are going to get the file summary of listing all the files. See the list of files and the name, the file size, and the extension name. They also got it. And now they're calling the OpenAI to do it. Oh, we need to actually install the OpenAI, but also we need to probably set up some of the key stuff. Okay, so let's try to do the pip install. All right, and then I think we need to provide a key. I forgot to do that. So let's see where do we need to get it there. In the setup environment variable. All right, I'll do set the okay, so meanwhile, let me just generate the key. right? And okay, so I'm gonna run this one here to export. Open AI API key equals to the key. Okay, so I'll just do it here, not permanently, but at least this one time it should work now. I'll run the code again to the file organizer, okay? And then this time I'm gonna get my pass. All right. Again, getting the summary. Um, well, but the library is still not getting it. All right, so let's see. Where do they, let me check the code. Where do they interact with OpenAI? Call it OpenAI API. From here, they get a key and we got a clone. And then here is the prompt they use. Okay, you are a file organizer assistant given a folder with file, generate as a code to organize the file into appropriate folders based on their file types or content. Okay, and here's the file. Yeah, the prompt is really good. Okay. All right, they're generating this one. They use GPT-4o mini. That should be fun. Okay, so now they're just complaining the OpenAI package is not installed. Mm, that should be there. Whenever I go to the Python's uh the dependencies always kind of a pain here. Okay, let me try to run this again. Let me move this one all the way to the top. Okay. Yeah, so I query. So maybe another like the issues. Okay, the pip issues. Yeah, the pip3, we got that one. And now we're running with the Python 3. All right, so we create a virtual environment. All right, so I'm gonna go here and we're gonna do the Python. Okay, we're gonna the pip install OpenAI here. All right, so this one here is installed. Hopefully this one works. Okay, we're gonna run Python file organizer. And again, they ask us for base path. Copy the path. And now we can call in the API. And hopefully this one works. And this is a pretty large prompt, okay? And the good thing they're gonna ask us if we're gonna run the DSL, okay, based on all this file information. All right, so as you can see, they generated the whole DSL for us. We created something called documents and create an image with two folders. And then these are the documents, and then these are the images. Okay. And do you want to execute it? I'm going to say yes. All right. All right. So that's all finished. All right. But then one thing they miss is that they put this into a different folder. Okay. So the files are here, but they move it back to here. All right. So uh, it just means that they're not taking over the base folder. Let's see if something we can change. Yeah, they create a folder, but then they didn't create a folder in the base folder. Okay. I think that's the thing that the prompt should be changed. Okay. So let's make one thing here to change it. Okay, so in all the file and folder passes, the all the file or folder paths should be the full absolute path. All right, so that way we don't have any confusion. Just make sure they generate the full path. That way, it's not gonna do this type of errors. Okay, so let me try this again. So I need to move this and this one back to the test folder too. Okay, and then okay, yeah, I put it back. I just made some little change here in the prompt. So hopefully they all will use on the uh pass in the DSL code. Okay, should be the full absolute pass. Okay, just add this one requirement. Let's see if they can handle this one better. Let's do this one more time. Run the code. Provide the test folder. Here's the pass. Sending to AI. And then AI are gonna take care of the command and give us the DSL code. All right, so here's the code, everything. This time, everything being changed. Okay, all those, the create, that's exactly what I need. All right, so the full pass, everything is full pass. Okay, so that way we don't have any confusion. I'm gonna say yes. All right, so now the whole thing has been organized so that everything falls under here. Okay, I don't know what this other is, but that's fine. And yeah, so that's how it works. All right. So going back here, okay, if you look at the structure, okay, we started with building the actor, the file manager, and then we design a DSL, and I use large model to test it, and finally you have something to put everything together. All right. Now, this example is not too difficult, right? But the concept is quite different from the one you built last week. Last week is when you get a response, you're just rendering it. But now you're actually using the information and do some other things. And all you need to do is to figure out other actors to work on. right? Eventually, it could be a robot. For example, you buy a robot, the robot can do certain things, and then you can always use the language model to generate the things, the list of things you want the robot to do, and that's how things eventually will be put together. And once again, that kind of explains why robotics getting more popular because people start to see something more promising, which never happened before. People been working on robotics for a long time, but there's not much to use. I won't say it's not much to use, but it's not really that significant. But then now the AI models actually really boost that part a lot. Okay, so that's the demo I want to show, guys. Okay, so after today, I'm gonna put your final project for this course, which is to build a kind of AI agent. All right. And then I'll try to show you more examples in the coming couple of weeks, but you should start work on this one as soon as you can. All right. But then the key thing here is still the idea. Okay. Get something interesting to work on. All right. So that's all for today. Let me know if any questions.